They say every community has that one person who treats the HOA like a full-time job, but ours had Doyle Mason. He strutted around like he carried a badge, clipboard under one arm, phone in the other, always snapping pictures. He wasn't elected, he wasn't assigned. He simply declared himself the neighborhood enforcer. And last week, he stepped over a line Grandpa refused to ignore. Before we get into it, comment where you're tuning in from. I want to see how far this tale travels. It all began with the squeak of our back fence. At 5:30 a.m., I was half asleep, pouring cereal, while Grandpa rocked on the porch, muttering, "There he goes again." Sure enough, Doyle was crawling over the fence like a thief, phone raised, snapping shots of Grandpa's tomato plants. His claim? They ruined the neighborhood's aesthetic. Imagine that. A 75-year-old veteran planting tomatoes was apparently a violation. I wanted to rush out and yell at him, but Grandpa lifted a hand. "Patience," he said. "A fool always writes his own ending if you let him." That was Grandpa's way, calm, steady, the opposite of Doyle's frantic energy. And this wasn't Doyle's first stunt. Twice already, we'd caught him snooping by our shed, once rattling the door like he expected to uncover contraband. Grandpa had filed complaints with the HOA, but their president, Linda Clay, brushed it aside with a smile. "Oh, Doyle's just enthusiastic. He cares about the block." Enthusiastic. The man was breaking trespassing laws under North Carolina Statute 14 to 159.13, but the HOA hid behind red tape, claiming it was internal enforcement. Grandpa wasn't fooled. He contacted the sheriff, and though they sympathized, they explained the gray area. Unless Doyle was caught in the act and charged immediately, it was just our word against his. That's when Grandpa built his plan. For 3 days, he tinkered in the garage, humming old country tunes while I handed him tools. By day 4, our wrought iron gate had a new feature: low-voltage electric wiring, fully legal under state code, as long as it was marked. Grandpa even posted a bright yellow warning sign: "Electrified gate, trespassers will be shocked." And right on cue, Doyle came prowling again before sunrise. Grandpa sipped black coffee on the porch, while I crouched inside, heart racing. Doyle climbed the fence, boots crunching gravel, muttering about violations. The moment his gloved hand gripped the gate's app, a jolt sent him yelping like a kicked dog. He stumbled back, arms flailing, landing in the dirt before limping away. Grandpa didn't move an inch. He leaned back in his rocker and murmured, "That's the sound of justice." The whole street was buzzing. Doyle Mason, limping down Maple Court, became the day's headline. Neighbors whispered in driveways, suppressing laughter as the self-proclaimed HOA patrol tried to spin the tale. He claimed Grandpa had set up illegal traps, but most knew the truth. Everyone had seen Doyle, snooping, measuring lawns with a ruler, even peeking through curtains at night. He was a menace, and for once, he got what he deserved. Still, Doyle didn't take the loss quietly. By noon, Linda Clay called an emergency HOA meeting. I tagged along with Grandpa, thinking I could help keep tempers cool, but it was a circus. From the start, Linda Pearls and fake smile sat at the head of the table. Doyle, sling on his arm for drama, pointed at Grandpa like he was a criminal. "This man," Doyle shouted, "is endangering the neighborhood with an electrified weapon. That gate nearly killed me." Grandpa didn't flinch. He placed a folded paper on the table. "That's a permit under the electrical code. Signed, legal, and posted with warnings." Linda tried to protest. "Legal or not, it's aggressive. The HOA can regulate installations." Grandpa's voice dropped low, gravelly. "Regulate, sure. Trespass, no. State law says it's a crime to enter private property without consent. Doyle's done it 3 times. Next time I'll press charges." The room shifted. Neighbors started nodding. One woman spoke. "Doyle came into my yard to measure my bushes." Another added, "He photographed my kids' bikes and called them an eyesore." The tide turned fast. Doyle's face burned red. Linda pounded her gavel, trying to regain order. "This meeting is about Mr. Thompson's gate," but Grandpa cut her off. "No, ma'am, it's about Doyle's obsession. You let him run wild, and now he knows what happens when he trespasses on the wrong porch." If you like this HOA tale, hit that subscribe because it only gets better. Doyle didn't handle the humiliation. For 2 days, he drove his dented truck around our block, idling in front of our house like a vulture. Grandpa ignored him, sipping coffee, eyes sharp as a hawk. On the 3rd night, Doyle finally snapped. Past midnight, I awoke to rustling by the gate. Peeking out, I saw him with a flashlight and bolt cutters, muttering under his breath. He was really going to break through. But Grandpa was waiting. From his rocker, he pulled a small remote. "Watch this, kid," he whispered, as Doyle clamped the cutters. Grandpa clicked. Zap, the wires hummed, and Doyle jerked like he'd grabbed a hornet's nest. He dropped the cutters, stumbled in the mud, and cursed. Grandpa calmly sipped his coffee. "Trespassing again," he muttered, raising his phone to record. Every flail, every curse, caught in crystal clear video. Doyle, though, pulled out his own phone and called 911, screaming, "Attempted murder. He's trying to kill me." 5 minutes later, red and blue lights lit up the yard. Officers arrived, eyes darting from Doyle, muddy and wild, to grandpa.com in his chair. Sir, is that gate electrified? One asked. Yes, Grandpa. Answered evenly, registered, permitted, posted, and recorded. Here's the paperwork. He slid the laminated permit across the table, then handed over the video. Officers watched Doyle climb, cut, and shock himself in HD. So you trespassed? One asked. Doyle sputtered, No. I was inspecting for the HOA. The other officer raised a brow. At midnight, with bolt cutters, the law was clear. Doyle was guilty of trespassing, vandalism, attempted theft and filing a false report. The cuffs clicked shut right there by the glowing gate. Doyle shouted about conspiracies, but nobody cared. Neighbors gathered, not whispering this time clapping. Grandpa leaned back, nodded at me, and said, Sometimes justice just needs a little electricity. Doyle sat in the cruiser, soaked in mud, his reputation destroyed, HOA badge confiscated. The very gate he tried to defeat had ended him. Because when you go after a man like Grandpa, you don't just lose, you set fire to the whole HOA.